Whopper. The time is now.
Newcastle United latest news talk.
With talkSPORT's Jet Cunningham, live, weekly, on NUFC Talk TV, the voice of the Toon Army.
Welcome to the Jack Cunningham Show again, and I can already see a few people commenting, so welcome to Quinny, Darren, Mercury, hello to everyone, and well, we're going to have to talk about Newcastle United's 2-0 defeat to Manchester City in the Carabao Cup. The trophy we're looking to defend is now looking like it's going to be a lot harder to defend. The second goal in the 98th minute by Ryan Cherky is an absolute killer, it has to be said, because 1-0, although you go to the Etihad thinking, okay, we haven't got as much of a chance, 2-0 is such a huge blow at a ground where we have won once since they moved in. So Darren thinks we are out, and look, I totally understand that as well. I can feel why people would think that we are definitely now out of it. As I said, it's a ground we've won once at. We did actually win in the League Cup. That is our only win at the Etihad. It is in the League Cup. But Kenny thinks Pep gets... Welcome, Kenny, as well, by the way. Pep gets overconfident, plays a Z team. We can do it, then maybe Pens. It's going to be extremely difficult to overturn that deficit at the Etihad. So let's get into it then, because I do think that Newcastle played pretty well. I don't think it was one of our worst performances by a long way. Ultimately, the difference was the clinical finishing from Manchester City compared to the lack of finishing at all from Newcastle. The finishing from Johan Wissa and Nick Voltemade in particular has cost us big time. Hello, Truls. Hello, how are you doing? Good to have you. Kenny thinks Vissa's still not match fit. Look, we will get into Johan Wissa because I was extremely disappointed in his performance. I think if you look how lively he was in his first couple of games against Fulham and Burnley, I just think since then he's lost it a bit. And to be honest, he looked a bit lazy last night. I really wanted him. At one point, Howe screamed at him to press Bernardo Silva in the box because he just sort of let him sort of dance around his own penalty area without under no pressure whatsoever. So Wissa is a concern at this moment. As I said, looked lively initially. And yeah, Wissa, and I think Voltemade was also bad when he came on as well. And Newcastle spent a lot of money on these two strikers. I think Voltemade has still been good. I feel as if as the games are going on, I feel like it's starting a bit worse, to be honest, Voltemade. I think the amount of minutes he's played at the start of the season, I just feel as if we've got a problem up front. Two strikers who are not playing maybe as well as they could be, and all of the chances fell to them. If Barnes had that chance, the first Wissa one, you think it's 1-0 Newcastle. I think the header was a bit unlucky from Wissa, to be fair. It's a good save from James Trafford. And then I think Voltemade... Christensen, I totally agree. Well done, Slapping. Welcome. Nice to have you on. Thank you, everyone who's tuning in. Again, just keep your comments rolling in. That will be much appreciated, and that's how we will get the conversation going. And NUFC Truth, have we just wasted £200 million of strikers on ESAT level? I'm sorry, a recruitment team need replacement. That was a good question. So let me show that screen. There we go. So this is the question from NUFC Truth. Look, I think Newcastle's recruitment overall in the time that since the takeover has overall been excellent. I think there's been very few misses. I do feel as if we're in January now. I think it's a fair time to judge the summer recruitment. And at the moment, the only players who you would say have been, the only player who's been a definite hit is Malik Chow. I think Waldemar had a brilliant start, and I still think he has been a net positive. I'm just a bit concerned with what I've seen from him lately. Just a bit, doesn't seem to be holding the ball up as well, which is disappointing. You want more, you want him to be a bit stronger than he is currently. And you want just a bit more, I guess, just ability to hold the ball up, and that's what he was so good at the start of the year. So I am concerned at that. As I said, this is a really good question. Anthony Elanga, please get your comments on Elanga, because I'm starting to feel sorry for the lad. If I'm being brutally honest, it looks like he has no confidence. Any sort of semblance of ability has sort of gone from his game, and he's really, really struggling at the moment. Is Anthony Elanga? It is a disappointment. There's no question about it. I don't know what else you can say about Anthony Elanga. It is just such a shame. Big things were expected. I thought he was going to be the signing that we needed, but you know, he just hasn't worked out. Just hasn't worked out like that at all, has it? So, yeah. Look, got some more questions coming in, so let me answer those. You know, what else can you say about Langer than the negative? Yeah, I don't really know what else you can say about Langer than other than it's negative. You know what I mean? It is what it is. There's no question about that, really. So it's just a massive shame. It's just a massive shame. You know, we're expecting a lot more from him. And yeah, Darren, you know, Langer last night playing pinball 4 times in the space of 20 seconds. He passed the ball to a Man City player. Yeah, there was one point, I don't know if we remember this, but he actually brought down the ball brilliantly. Joe Linton switched it out to him. It was a fantastic pass. And he brings it down, and he plays it inside, and then he goes to the return. The return gets played through to him. He's in on goal, and his touch goes out of play for a goal kick, and that was just extremely disappointing. Just so poor. You've got to be better than that. You've got to be better than that. You getting the ball in a good position. It's a simple pass through to him, and he miscontrols it. Yeah, Fluffmeister, you've never seen a professional footballer of such a poor first touch. Elanga is statistically the worst attacker in the league. Yeah, Gaz thinks 200 million well and truly wasted. Yeah, look, it is starting to look like this is the first time the recruitment team have not delivered, and it came at such a really, really bad time for us when after selling Alexander Isak, you need to get it right in the transfer market. Look, this always seemed like a short-term bit of a panic buy. His injuries obviously not helped, and if he doesn't deliver this season, when's he going to deliver next? Because that's the real concern. When is he actually going to deliver next? Because if we're not getting it from him now, he's going to be 30 in September. You're starting to run out of time already on this, and the price tag looks even worse. And then Alanga, it's just, yeah, it's a real shame. Yeah, I thought the other players as well. I thought the other players did look a bit frustrated with Visser, especially, look, the first chance, right? I mean, Jacob, we can, one thing you can always say about Jacob Murphy is he's one of the best crossers of a football in the Premier League. And he has put it on a plate for Johan Visser. Visser's first touch is good. Then I know he's not left-footed, but either get back onto your right foot or just hit it across the goalkeeper, and he just skies it over the bar from 8 yards out, and it's just so poor. It's so disappointing. You've got to hit the target, and at 1-0 up Newcastle after 4 minutes, the game is so different. It is so different. It changes everything. It really does. It changes everything then. Like, that's an interesting point from Gaz there. Walter Morrison, he's not suited to English football, struggles with the physicality and speed of the Prem. That's why he shined in Germany. The game is slower over there. And then Christensen thinks that Howe's telling Walter Marder not to dribble much. He wants technical players. He wants runners and athletes. We all know Howe wants a physical team. That is and Walter Marder isn't the gifted with pace or strength. I do think he's working on his strength. I've got no doubt that the fitness team at Newcastle have him in the gym working, working into that position. Yeah, he needs to bulk up. He does need to bulk up. I totally agree. And we've got a Manchester City fan. He did say you would win. You did, to be fair. Yeah, it was. Look, we could talk about that as well. I thought it was an absolutely ridiculous decision. An absolutely ridiculous decision. That is not in any way is that a goal that should have been disallowed. One, Pope's not getting there. Malik Chow's not really impacted by the play. Yes, Haaland's offside, but is it really clear and obvious that it takes 6-7 minutes to check it? And no one has any idea what's going on. So we are lucky it wasn't 3-0 at that point. However, what I would say to that is Semenyo shouldn't have been playing anyway, because there's no way those rules should have been changed. There is no way that Antoine Semenyo should have been allowed to play in that game. If you play for another team in the Cup, exactly, Geordie Dan, that's what I'm saying. So if you think about it, if you play for another team in the Cup early in the season, the whole point of a January signing is that they're not allowed to play in the Cup the following for another team in that same year. It's just benefiting the teams who can go out and spend £65 million, on a player like Antoine Semenyo. That is what it is. It's benefiting because Manchester City should not have been able to play Semenyo. And I'm not sure if anyone else knows this, but Max Allen, the centre-back, their only fit centre-back, also wouldn't have been able to play because he had played for Watford in the Carabao Cup. So Manchester City should not have had a centre-back or a winger on the pitch. And that is what is a key thing. And that is ultimately, I'm not going to, there's points whinging about it too much, but equally, it is a rule that has been changed. I don't know why it's been changed. It shouldn't have been changed. And that is the position that we're in. A reminder, of course, make sure you subscribe to the channel, smash the like button. It helps support the stream, I know this is only the second one I've done of these, but I really enjoy interacting with other Newcastle fans. And even, as I say, Manchester City fans as well. Any football fans want to come on, have a chat about this. And, I just want to keep it going. Hello, Choppy. How are you doing? Good to have you on. But yeah, get involved in the live chat. We want to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to become a member by joining NTTV Plus for £4.99. Some members were refunded due to recent price changes. So if that applies to you, please consider rejoining. NTTV Plus now includes all member perks and exclusive content in one place. So please remember to do that as well. That would be great. Really appreciate that. So, well, this is where we're at. Newcastle are 2-0 down after the first leg, and it's looking like an uphill battle to turn this tie around. It feels like we're not going to defend the Carabao Cup this season. By the time we play it again, it's in 3 weeks. Hopefully, Newcastle have done some transfer business, because I think we'd be essentially condemning Eddie Howe and the team to a poor second half of the season if we don't strengthen in the defensive area of the pitch. So we're in that. I know, but Manchester City are not going to go through January and not buy another player. They will 100% have some form of defensive player signed up. So, look, this is where we are. We're 2-0 down. It's St James's Park. Anyone who was there in the comments, please let me know what the atmosphere was like. It sounded to me like it wasn't as good as it probably should have been for a cup semi-final. I've heard of a few other people, a few other Newcastle fans I know were also talking about it as well, saying that the atmosphere wasn't great. We'll talk more about Vissa. We'll talk more about Waldemar. We will talk about Lewis Hall. Wow. What a player. Man of the match last night. There is no question. He was the best player on the pitch by miles. Gaz is asking me who would I like to see come in this window. So, Gaz, for me, we need another backup left back, because if Hall does get injured, and if he... Well, equally, it's not even that he gets injured. We can't play him every game, okay? He's a wonderful footballer, but we can't play him every game. So, if Dan Burn has to play at any point at left back, we are in trouble, because it spoils everything we do on the ball. It spoils everything we do off the ball. So we need a backup left back, even if it is genuinely Matt Targett being recalled, because he's playing for Middlesbrough all of the time. So why wouldn't you get him in if he's better than having Dan Burn at left back? He is, because Dan Burn is a top centre back. At left back, it exposes him, and it makes me feel sorry for him, and it makes him look not on the level of a Premier League footballer. So we need to get Dan Burn not playing left back. So left back and another centre back. And I would be thinking long-term planning for this one. So a long-term Fabian Schär or Dan Burn replacement. So someone on the left or the right. We've been linked with Scalvini, who is at Atlanta. I talked about that in my first Journal Inquest video, which you can find on the channel as well. So in that one, Team Talker reporting that Newcastle are interested in Scalvini. He's played with Scout for a while. 21-year-old Italian international. He's got 8 caps at Atlanta. However, his injury record is so bad. ACL, shoulder injuries. Yeah, clearly a good footballer, but, Malik Chow has played 27 games in a row now, and the best ability is availability. And if we sign Scalvini, he never plays. What is the point? Yeah, Darren, Scalvini's had more injuries than you've had hot dinners. Exactly. So what is the point of having him if he's just going to be injured the whole time? There is no point of having him if he's going to be injured all the time. So, but apart from that, it's pretty short on the ground on names. We're halfway through January. It's been a very, very quiet transfer window overall, to be fair. But apart from Conor Gallagher going to Tottenham from Atletico Madrid, and of course Semenyo joining Man City. But apart from that, it's been pretty quiet. But Newcastle need to do some business. Otherwise, I think we're setting ourselves up for failure in the second half of the season, when there's still a lot to play for. Yes, it looks like we're probably out of the Carabao Cup. We've got a very hard draw in the FA Cup at Aston Villa. But Newcastle have won at Villa Park within the last couple of seasons. And those games are always strange. We either batter them or they batter us. So we don't know how that's going to go. Look, we got to go there with a bit of confidence, even though Villa are playing easily as the third best team in England at the moment. So that is where we are with the FA Cup. And we're still the Champions League, of course. And we're probably going to have a Champions League playoff. Geordie Dan, if no one comes in, is this a warning and a how come in the summer that PAF are keeping their powder dry for summer and a potential new manager? This is a really good question. This is an interesting question. I think if they don't invest in January in players, I think that is a sign that they're maybe thinking about a potential managerial change, because I think it is, as I've said, setting up Eddie Howe for failure in the second half of the year, because we can't rely on Sven Botman to play every single game. We can't rely on Lewis Hawke every game, and we can't rely on Tino Livramento to play every game. He's out for 8 weeks, to Tino Livramento. So, and Kieran Trippier came on last night, and I mean, at one point, Semenyo walked past him. He looked like he was going backwards. Trippier's still a good footballer, but he's not got the legs anymore. That they're gone. So that's a good question. I think that's fair. However, what we'll say, Darren, is I've seen you saying PIF losing interest again. The one thing I counter with that is that Newcastle, according to Craig Hope, who we all know extremely reliable for Newcastle news, is that there's going to be a new £200 million training ground built right next to Newcastle Airport. If PAF had lost interest, then I don't think they would be investing £200 million in a world-class training facility that will rival any club in the world. Got the Spurs architects, the architects for the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium involved. They also built Real Madrid City, which is where Spain train in Madrid. It is an incredible effort and ambition shown here with this training ground. It's going to take 2 years to build once it is confirmed. So I do think the PAF are still interested, because this is a massive, massive investment, big infrastructure. It will elevate Newcastle's training facilities and what they can offer players to another level. Having it right next to the airport is a perfect idea as well. You know, makes it so easy for players coming in, makes it so easy for players coming out. So I think that's a sign that they're invested in Newcastle. I agree with Geordie Dan here, saying it's maybe the opposite. They're ramping up their involvement in a new training ground and a new manager. Yes, we don't know what's going to happen with Eddie Howe. We don't know that. But another comment from Harpal, which is good to have you on. When you see the first brick going down, that is absolutely fair enough as well. Totally agree. And Tony and the Flying Crumpets, hello, welcome. He can't get excited about new training ground. Player main incentive is wages. Yeah, wages are important, and that's why I think we're seeing Botman get a new deal. So of course he'll be getting his wage be going up. There's talks of Bruno Guimaraes is going to get another new contract, so I think his wage be going up as well. Newcastle, although we're not on the same level financially as a lot of these teams, we are in a position whereby financially, with the deals that we have done in the past, that we should be able to start offering good wages to players. Carl Hope sounds a bit less negative. We spent 250 million on rubbish. It set us back 5 years. Yeah, look, the transfer window is, as I said, I don't think it's rubbish, because Malik Chow, I think, has been absolutely fantastic. And I'm not saying Pepper Pod, by the way, interesting question here about Eddie Howe. I'm not saying we need a new manager. I was just answering a question from other people. I'm still a supporter of Eddie Howe. I think what he's done for this club is unbelievable. I just think if they don't sign someone in January, then I think it is a sign that maybe the board and the hierarchy are not convinced about how much longer Howe will be there. That's the point I'm trying to make. I would be backing Eddie Howe, because I think that everything he's done is totally Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Jordy Dan. Yeah, you're totally right. No one's saying Eddie out. We're just speculating. Yeah, no new signings. Yeah, exactly. Totally agree, Jordy Dan. I totally agree. That's what we're saying. We're not saying Eddie out. I know some people are. Some people want Eddie out, but we're not saying that. We're just saying that, you know, we're just saying that if there's no signings January, then that's maybe concerning. NUFC Truth, Jack, how will we ever get to be a big club, as the only way it can become big is by becoming a squad who can compete on the pitch, and right now we have no system to control or look contenders. Okay, Pepper Pods got some interesting information as well. So he's saying the border behind him, he's just signed a new undisclosed contract. Well, that's interesting. I don't know anything about that. I've not seen anything about that, but let's see if that's some information that comes out. That's certainly an interesting point. Yeah, and I agree again with the transfer market. I'll go into this a little bit, but I'm going to answer NUFC Truth's question. What Newcastle did in the summer is they did try and sign players who were going to improve the squad. I think we did all feel Anthony Elanga was an immediate upgrade at right wing, so we hoped that he was going to be coming straight into the start 11 as the right winger. We also weren't expecting Vista to get injured immediately, so expecting him to start up front and then let Waldemar settle in. And then Ramsey was brought in as a player who can play as an 8, as a 10 on the wing. Maybe not start every game, but certainly involved a lot of the time. So a squad player. Don't think Malik Chow was signed as going to be a starter player immediately. I think it would have been Sharon Byrne for the foreseeable, but that changed with Chow coming at the team and he's been unbelievable. And then Ramsdale, it was a sticky plaster over the goalkeeper situation. You know, they wanted James Trafford. They didn't get him, so they had to get a goalkeeper in who's a bit different to Pope, but equally they're both probably not at the level that we need them to be. Now, it's not worked out like that at all, has it? You know, Vista. Yeah, Tony and the Flying Crumpets wants me to do a quick rating out of 10 for our summer signs. Okay, let's do it. Okay, I'll do. Okay, Malik Shah, I'm going to give it 9 out of 10. I think he's been absolute top draw, apart from one game against Leeds. So Malik Chow gets a 9 out of 10. Also a goal threat. Waldemar, I'm going to give a 7. Really, really good start. Been a bit concerned with his performances over the last few games. Seems to be getting less involved. Looks like they're knocking him off the ball too easily. Maybe take too many touches. So go for 7 for Waldemar. Elanga, a 3, unfortunately. I still back him because we've seen players take a while to... Yeah, they failed to take a while to... Some players we've signed have took a while to adapt and learn the Howe system. So I'll give him a 3 for now. I want to give him time. I'm admittedly a massive Jacob Ramsey fan. I wanted him in Newcastle for years. I love that sort of player. We haven't seen the goal scoring Jacob Ramsey as of yet, but I actually think that a lot of the criticism of him is misguided because I thought last night he was very, very good. Thought actually our midfield looked much more solid with him in it than when Tonali came on. That ball that skips the midfield out wasn't happening when Ramsey was on the pitch because he was covering so much ground and he doesn't really make the wrong decision with his passing either. So I'm going to give a Ramsey a 6. I expect more from him, but I am a huge fan. So I'll give him a 6. And then Vista, hard to judge so far. I will give him an NA, and Ramsdale 5 out of 10 maybe because yes, he's good with the ball at his feet. He is not actually a very good shot stopper. So that's my quick ratings. Please let me know if you agree with them or disagree. I'm sure you will disagree with them, and it is absolutely fine. But that's what I'd give my play ratings for the summer transfer window. I'm maybe being a bit, maybe I'm being a bit positive. And UFC Truth, Jack, maybe our squad's ability, we failed replacing one player, Isak, squad worse, come on, we lost a striker, not the rest of the squad, we won the cup and got 5th, we've got worse. Yeah, look, I think that you can argue that certainly up front, we're nowhere near as good. The thing is, with Newcastle for the last few years, we built the entire team around how can we get Alexander Isak to score goals. And the team would so well drilled. They knew exactly what to do. And they knew exactly how to get Alexander Isak to score goals. I think the problem we've got is Walter Marder's an entirely different striker. So different in every way. He wants the ball into feet. He wants people running off him. He doesn't necessarily want to be the goal scorer. He wants to be setting people up, as we saw with his beautiful assist for Harvey Barnes against Bournemouth. And then Visser is similar to Isak. He's just not on the same level as Alexander Isak. And that is the problem that we've got. You know, another issue we've had, in my opinion, is actually we have actually missed Will Asula in many ways, because I thought he looked a lot better at the start of the year than he had in previous, well, certainly last season. There was some moments of class, I thought, from Will Asula in a few games, and he made a difference in a couple of games as well. You know, Liverpool scored a goal, Fulham. Also, hello Claire, afternoon. And you know what? Yeah, it's a good question, Harpal. Where is Asula? Yeah, I don't know why people aren't asking about this, because we just keep hearing, yeah, he's got an ankle injury, whatever. Like, I want some details on it. I really want some details on it, because he hasn't played since West Ham in November when we got beat 3-1. He came on in the second half as a substitute, and he was actually all right. But we're not seeing him since. And he's been linked with Aston Villa, which, again, I reported in my Journal Insight video, which was from information from my colleague Alex Crook, said Aston Villa are interested. We know Eintracht Frankfurt have agreed with Asula to sign him, but at the moment, there's no deal agreed with Newcastle to sign him. So I don't know if they're just waiting till the January transfer window's over, but we should get him involved. We are missing him. When the other two strikers aren't performing at the moment, as they're not, we are missing him. You know, so yeah, Claire, that's a fair question. Something fishy going on. Why is he not playing, even if he's been sold? Yeah, it's very strange. You know, we've got this ankle injury that just seems to be going on, never ending. Issues might be out for 2 weeks, and here we are in the middle of January, and he's still out. So he's been out for 2 months, just over 2 months now. So, Tony, you've got your ratings. That's fine, mate. Giving them just for 5. Ramsdale looks nervous dealing with crosses. Chow, 7.5. Fair enough. Had a few mistakes. Ramsey, 5. Not done enough. That's fair. Big Nick, 6. Faded, yes. Visser, hot and cold. Alanga, rubbish. Yeah, fair enough. I understand that. So, yeah, and UFC Truth got another question for me. So, when should have signed him? That's on the club. Left Howard Power, give Isak his contract. Yeah, look, the whole Isak contract thing is so frustrating. You know, Paul Mitchell has done us a lot of damage. Isak still might have left, by the way, but I don't think he would have done. I think if Newcastle had just sorted out that new deal, yes, he had 3 years left on his contract, but all he wanted to be was the top earner at the club, which is exactly what he should have been. And there's no way in my mind that if they just sorted that deal out, got him that contract, he has one more. This would have been his last season, no matter what, though. And I think next summer he would have had the pick of any club in the world. I'm talking Bayern Munich, I'm talking Real Madrid, I'm talking Barcelona, because I couldn't have seen Isak not being at the level that he was at. So that's, for me, like, where the Isak thing went wrong. Paul Mitchell absolutely gets away with that. He gets nowhere near enough criticism for that. You can't have a promise made in the previous regime and then not follow through with it. And they did. And in the end, it's caused us some problems. I am absolutely backing Nick Walter-Marder to become a top striker for Newcastle. I just think that we're going to have to change the way we play when he's on the pitch. And that's not ideal, but all he can do is work hard in the gym, get a little bit stronger, and we can learn how to play with him, because he's shown enough signs of quality that we've got a good footballer there and someone who is going to lead the line for Germany in the World Cup. You know, maybe Kai Havertz if he plays for Arsenal, but overall, Nick Waldemar will be leading the line for Germany at the World Cup. This is a top striker. As I said, faded. Yeah, faded. Last few weeks, faded. It's been a bit worrying. Although I thought in the 10 against Bournemouth, he looked really good and got, as I said, got a lovely assist for Harvey Barnes. As I said, you just need runners off him. If you get runners off him, I think we will see the best of Nick Waldemar. He's not going to be Alexander Isak. He's not going to score 25 goals a season. Don't think he ever will. But he will still do well. So, got a few more comments here about Vissa. Yeah, from Claire. Yeah, he needs to be sharper. Yeah. Again, another one from UFC Truth. And thank you, Tony. Thank you very much. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate that, mate. Sorry, I just need to refresh this. Right, sorry about that. Just had a few technical issues. I think we're back. Gabby Deers. Yeah, thank you, Tony. Very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much, mate. Great stuff. Keep doing that as well, everyone. That'd be great. Really appreciate it. We enjoy that. Yep. Lee, hello. Yeah, look, I totally agree. You know, at the moment with Alanga 55 million, it's not looking good, is it? You know, it's just not looking good. And as I said, I genuinely feel sorry for him at this moment in time because the guy is so short of confidence. It's painful. It's really painful to watch. Oh, God, yeah. We've got you. I don't know what else there is to do other than back him. You know what I mean? Okay, more questions from NUFC Truth. You know, these are fair. You know, I'll get this on screen as well because it's a good one. Yeah, when Harvey Barnes is your top goal scorer, not your striker, that shows flaws in your game plan. I think I you know what, with that one, I think that yeah, look, okay, it's interesting. Harvey Barnes will always be one of your top goal scorers in your team because he is a goal scoring winger. Waldemar is second top goal scorer still, and then Gordon's third top goal scorer. Now, if you go to Manchester City when they won the Premier League during the lockdown season, they didn't have an actual striker the whole season. So everyone scored goals. Ilkay Gundogan, Gabriel Jesus. I'm trying to think what else. Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate these players are on another level to some of the Newcastle players. But I'm still saying that you can win games and you can score goals. And it doesn't mean, just because there's the striker, I think this is a bit of an old-fashioned view. Just because they're a striker doesn't mean they need to be your top goal scorer. That's just my opinion on that. You are welcome to disagree with me. And thank you, Harpal, saying great bit of January transfer business. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I love having all your comments. Love being on this as well. And just keep coming them in. Let's talk Newcastle. Lee, you fed up with Eddie dropping Barnes for big games? Okay. This is fair. What I will say is Barnes did play 120 minutes of... So he did play 120 minutes. Thank you very much, Wazza. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that, mate. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Cheers, son. Thank you. Yeah, and I'll answer your question as well, 100%. Who would you go for, Jack? January transfer window. We need a centre-back. Tapsoba would be my choice from Bayer Leverkusen. You know, I've liked him for a long time, and I think Tapsoba would be a really, really good addition to this Newcastle team. Yes, he's a right-sided one as well, but Fabian Schär is probably going to move on. So, yeah. So I reckon that definitely, yeah. That's who I'd go for, Edmund Tapsoba. A few more questions as well. I've been asked who I support. That's who asked me that. Choppy698. I am a Newcastle fan. I appreciate the accent isn't quite a Geordie accent. It's a northeast accent. It's not a Geordie accent, but I am a Newcastle fan. And another question from NUFC Truth as well. Can we talk about Gordon? Yes, we can talk about Gordon because Anthony Gordon. Oh, and another one from Lee is actually about Barnes. That's interesting. I'll address that as well. Because that's interesting. But yeah, in terms of Gordon, I've been a big critic of Gordon. I have. And I think that he should be doing more. And I think in games, he should do a lot more actually in games, to be honest. But equally, I thought he was decent last night. I thought he's involved in the move that leads to the Visser chance with a great ball out to Murphy. Really, really good ball out to Murphy and then into Visser, and Visser should score. And then he got Matheus Nunes booked with a great run down the left. And he put in a brilliant cross for Visser in the second half as well. So he was actually less involved in the game, but he was more involved in the final third. And that's what I want my winger to be, because that's always the criticism Harvey Barnes gets. Oh, he's not involved in the game. I don't care he's involved in the game. I want him in the final third, putting crosses in, getting shots away. And that's what Gordon did. However, yes, not scoring from the penalty spot in open play, apart from in the Champions League twice, which is fair enough. But in the Premier League, of course, it's now since January. Wolves, I want to say, when Newcastle won 3-0. I was there at that game. I believe Wolves would be his last goal from open play in domestic competitions anyway. So yeah, I feel as if that's a massive issue. That is an issue. We need more from him in terms of goals, 100%. Need him at the back post, attacking that back post. He's done it a few times this season because his 2 goals have been from that. So yeah, that's where we are with that. And then Lee, interesting question about the Barnes. What your interesting point on Barnes? I will find it again. Just give me a minute. About you saying that he played Barnes on purpose for 120 minutes as an excuse not to start him against City. Look, I don't agree with that. I think that he wanted to win this game. He didn't think it would go to extra time. Barnes scored in normal time, put Newcastle 1-0 up, so it was justified to keep him on for the second half. And then they scored what should have been the winner in the 118th minute as well. So I don't think he did it on purpose. I think the Barnes would have started if he'd played 90 minutes. And that's probably where I am with the Barnes situation. But these Gordon points are extremely interesting. I'm seeing a few more people saying that Elanga needs to go. And just a quick reminder from me, if you are on X or Twitter or whatever, that's my handle there. Please give me a follow. I will follow you back. I'm really trying to talk about Newcastle as often as possible on X. So please give me a follow. That'd be great. Much appreciated. If you're not an X, no problem at all. Don't worry about it. And also, if you're with YouTube as well, Inside the Toon, which is talkSPORT's dedicated Newcastle show. We just filmed one today. It'll be going out later on today. We've got another one on Friday with Adam Cleary. So please give that a watch as well. For some reason, it's not showing on the algorithm for a lot of people. So if you just type in Inside the Toon on YouTube, it should come up. And if you can subscribe to the channel as well, that would be brilliant. But that's just my little self-promotion there. And I've got another question here. Yeah, look, I appreciate that there are people who say the Gordon's a waste of waste of money. Again, I've been a big critic of Gordon this season. I think he should deliver a lot more. And if you look at the stats, it actually looks like he's not doing too bad. But realistically, what are we gonna? I would sell him in the summer. He'd be one of the big players I would sell because I think that teams will. happily pay probably double what we paid for him to sign him because he's shown enough in his time at Newcastle. And it is 50 goal contributions for him as a Newcastle player. But I do agree that there are games where he doesn't offer enough. And in my view, Harvey Barnes should be starting on the left over him, and Anthony Gordon should be on the right. And Kenny saying you're the guy on X who complained about new gear on eBay. I wasn't, but that is a disgrace. You know, I'm a Mags Plus member. I bought some gear for my mate and TalkSport colleague Ollie Klink, and to get it delivered to his house in London, and then so I paid the price. He's paid me back for it, and then I couldn't believe the people who are also Mags Plus members who've gone on and are selling it off to the fans for way above the face value. Are we really going to do that? We're going to rip off our fellow Newcastle fans to get some absolutely fantastic gear, by the way. It is brilliant, but I'm sorry, it's January. I can't afford that. So I decided not to buy that. But yeah, look, I don't agree with that. The gear being sold on there for triple the price or whatever it was. It's just a bit of like, do we really need to do that to our fellow fans? I don't think we do, and I hope that most people would agree that actually that's not right. You know, you don't need to do that. It's not fair. Yeah. And then Claire saying you got a t-shirt. Yeah, see what I mean? Like, this is what I'm saying. So I don't know if you're a Mags Plus member or not a Mags Plus member, Claire, but like if you're not a Mags Plus member and you're just a normal member, then it doesn't mean you're any less of a fan or anything. And then you got Mags Plus members who are going on there buying it and then selling it off. I don't agree. I don't agree with it. That is an interesting question. There's actually some good ones here. And NUFC Truth, fair play. You've got some good questions for me, and I'm really happy. Oh, Geordie Dan, Every have delivered yours. Oh, mate, have they sent you a picture? Because please, Every are the worst delivery company. They are so bad. Like, I got something ordered in December, Secret Santa at work, and I was in the house and they didn't even bother ringing the bell. Like, honestly, so mate, I hope that's there for you there, honestly. And then I got a really good comparison here, actually, from Lee. And Lee is saying, let me find this comment. Reminds him of Musa Sissoko. You know what? That is, I've not heard that comparison, but I'm not against that comparison because Gordon has admitted numerous times, by the way, that he gets up for big games. He said it a lot. And I feel like he does get up for the big games, and he probably does think he's one of the better players at the club. I don't think he's the best player at the club. I don't have any doubt that he wants to be at Newcastle. I felt like with Musa Sissoko and all of those players, to be fair. But it was the way it was the way we sold the club. It was a stepping stone club. It was like, you come here for a bit, then you get your move, and then see you later. Thank you. There's some money for Mike Ashley into his back pocket that the managers never saw in the transfer window. Goodbye. Don't think Gordon's like that. But I know, we all know he's a big Liverpool fan. And I think that's the move he wants. By the way, at the moment, he hasn't got a chance of getting that. Not a chance of getting that. They will be looking for a Bradley Barcola or someone like that instead. And interesting ones, I saw Oscar Bob and I saw Savinho mentioned as names that Newcastle could go for. Oscar Bob is a great shout because he is, according to Fabrizio Romano, with Semenyo signing, he's going to get left out of the Manchester City squad when they submit their squad list at the end of the transfer window. And Oscar Bob, although he's just come out from a broken leg, every time I've seen him play, quite a stunning footballer in a lot of ways. This season, fair enough. Yep, no goals, no assists in 10. That's fair. But I don't think he's played many minutes. I'd have to have a proper check. But from watching Man City, you don't really see him play that often at the moment. So Oscar Bob would be one that we could certainly get the most out of. I think he's a player that because no matter what, Eddie Howe still improves players. I know we're talking about Alanga struggling at the moment or what have you, but like honestly, he does improve players, and I think Oscar Bob is a good shout. Savinho, interesting. He's a player who is clearly good, but every time I see him play, he's doesn't do a lot. Last season got quite a few assists, only one goal I think in the Premier League, and it came against Leicester, who are arguably one of the worst teams I think I've ever seen in the Premier League. So that's an interesting one about Savinho. He nearly joined Spurs. I think he's injured now as well. So, yeah. That's a good... You know what? This is a good question. A bit more positive from Cuff or two. The fact that we do always compete with City. We do compete with City. And there's the issue Newcastle have, like, I think let's just say, is that in our PSR position, with the fact that our sponsorship deals aren't as big as the likes of Manchester United, Tottenham, Manchester City, Arsenal, Liverpool. And by the way, I think more needs to be done about that, but that's maybe a conversation for another day. But because they're not as big, we can't afford misses in the transfer market. So that's why that first window, when you sign Bruno Guimaraes, Dan Burn, Chris Wood even, because he scored some important goals and then we made some money for him. Then that second transfer window, Sven Botman, Alexander Isak. And then the following transfer, then that January, Anthony Gordon. And then the summer, Sandro Tonali. These are Harvey Barnes, Sandro Tonali, Harvey Barnes. I'm trying to think of else. Tino Livramento, Lewis Hall. These are all players who have delivered for Newcastle. Or was I saying Marmoush? That's actually a great shout. Marmoush is a great shout. There are some City players who will not be playing many minutes, and Newcastle should probably maybe have a look at them. But that's the issue we're in. The PSR situation means that we can't afford to miss out and make transfer errors. And that's why we saw at the start of last season, we had probably the worst transfer window in the Premier League, where we signed Lloyd Kelly on a free. By the way, unbelievable deal. Someone get a load of money for him, but still, Lloyd Kelly on a free. Vlachodimos. So that was a bad transfer window. And then this one, on paper, I think a lot of people were really happy with it at the end of it. You know, it wasn't what it could have been. And I think that's the disappointing thing, because when you look at Newcastle were ambitious in last summer's transfer window, tried to sign Mbeumo, tried to sign João Pedro, tried to sign Liam Delap, tried to sign Dean Huijsen, tried to sign Matheus Cunha, tried to sign James Trafford, although I blame the club for not getting that one done. They just ultimately chose to go to other clubs. And then we've been left with... Well, we had to sign a striker because Alexander Isak was going. Callum Wilson had gone, so they had to sign a striker. So that's why we've gone for Johan Vissa. We were hoping he was going to hit the ground running. He hasn't. And now we're just praying for a big second half of the season for him. If he ends the season if he can get 10 goals between now and the end of the season in all comps, that would be good. You know, as I said, I've seen people criticise Ramsey. I will always defend Jacob Ramsey. I'm happy for people to disagree with me. That's fine, but I will always defend Jacob Ramsey. I am a big fan of his. And then Alanga, and then Walter Mardo, I get he doesn't fit the system. Yeah, he doesn't fit the system. Yeah, and that's where we're gonna have to either, if we're gonna make it work, we either adapt to him, or he tries to adapt to us. But one thing I will say is, when he's on the pitch, one thing we shouldn't do is play through balls to him, because it makes him look so slow and as if he's stuck in mud, essentially. If we play the ball into his feet, which we did do in a lot of games at the start of the season, he looked so much better and we got runners off him. So that's where I'm at with Walter Marder. And that is where we are at overall with the transfer business. But it is starting to look like we're finally maybe have had some transfer misses, unfortunately, and it came at the worst possible time when we've sold Alexander Isak. Now, Lee is asking me if you could sign 2 players in Jan and sell 2 players. Okay, put me on the spot here. I'm going to go for sign. I'm going to go for Tapsoba, the Bayer Leverkusen centre-back. And then I will go for... We need a left-back. What left-backs are even out there? Whoa. This is the problem. Honestly. This is the problem. There's nothing I can really think of at the top of my head, which is annoying. So I might have to go for a forward player. Okay, we still got to be relatively realistic. I'll go for Omar Marmoush. I think that'll be a top sign, to be fair. And then sell. I think it's time for Joe Willock, unfortunately. Again, a player who I've loved for a long, long time, but I think it is unfortunately time for Mr. Willock to go. And then the other player I'd sell would be... Ooh. It's tricky because we need all the players and all the positions we have, but Grimaldo for left back's not a bad shout. That is a good shout. Again, the problem with the left back situation is we've got Lewis Hall, who is fantastic. We just need someone who's happy to play the odd game, I guess, now and then. Yeah, we should have done everything. They've kept him. Yeah, look, these are great questions about Isak as well. Dortmund keeper, that's a good shout. Kubel, yeah, Kubel's a good shout. That's a great shout. He's top goalkeeper. So that's a fair one. I like that. From Kenny. Thank you, Kenny. You saved me there. Because honestly, that's the thing with the transfer window. It's so strange. Yeah. And there's really good conversation going on here about Leif Davis. That's a good shout as the backup left back. That is a good shout, Leif Davis. I can't argue with that one. So that's fair. And there's a few people are saying, oh, this is interesting about Tonali. But I saw an interesting conversation about Isak there as well from Toon Nut. I saw Alexander Isak, I also think would have stayed for this season if Newcastle had honoured the agreement and given him a new contract and made him the highest paid player at the club. I absolutely think that is what would have happened. I really do. I feel as if we've got one more season from him. He would have scored 30-odd goals. And then I think he would have moved on to an even bigger club than Liverpool. I really think he would have signed for a Barcelona, a Real Madrid, or a Bayern Munich, who, in my opinion, are bigger than Liverpool. So I think that's what he would have ended up doing. I think in the end, his agent has a lot to answer for. He has a lot to answer for. What he's done in the end is... actually, at the moment, he's spoiling his career because he's going to lose an entire season at Liverpool. Look, I expect next year he will probably come back to a good level. You'd be surprised if he didn't. Equally, we don't know. And it spoiled Newcastle's summer, in truth. And initially, when it ended, I think most people were pretty positive about it. Now we're halfway through the season. You look at the business, and unfortunately, it probably isn't at the level that it could have been. I mean, Kelly saying that Barcelona is still big. Look, I think Barcelona are one of those football institutions like Real Madrid, whereby if you are asked to play for them, you're gone. You are gone. If they are interested in you, you are signing for them. It is as simple as that. They have that pull. They have that aura around them. Any footballer wants to play for Real Madrid or Barcelona. So I would go for that. And just remember, like and subscribe and join NTTV Plus for £4.99. Get exclusive content and support the channel. And remember to like and subscribe as well. We're nearly an hour in. Probably going to do another 20 minutes or so. But again, it's flying by. And thank you for all of your interactions. Really enjoying it. And Christina saying that you have nice weather. That's why it's time for them. Look, the lifestyle is a thing. When you talk about these players who come over and take the London, the London thing. And maybe I live in London now as well, but that is purely for work. If I could, I'd live in the northeast. So that's where they are with the. But they always talk about their London thing, and so I don't really get it. I think living in Spain, yes, fair enough, absolutely fair enough. Barcelona, amazing place. Madrid, amazing place. But London, yeah, it's good if you got money, so fair enough. But I'll never get that whole London London thing. And then Adam asking, don't you think we need a midfielder if we sell Willock? Probably would, yeah. Probably would, because Miley at the moment's having to play right back, isn't he? He's probably going to have to play right back for the foreseeable future. And, Kenny, you live in London as well. Oh, great. Well, do you go to the Dolphin or whatever? Because if you do, that'd be good to catch up sometime there. Go to the Dolphin, watch Newcastle games. That is the Newcastle Supporters Club. For anyone who doesn't know, in London, it's right near King's Cross Station. Really, really good. Worth it. And Lee saying I'd rather live in Mackham Land than London. Yeah, fair enough. Oh, and UFC Truth. He's also you're from London. Fair enough. It's a lie. Yeah, I mean, you working Hammersmith? Fair play. Well, Kenny, if you want to pop down to the Dolphin sometime, that'd be great. And Cuff, you work next to the Dolphin. Oh well, I do go. I'll be honest, I've not been in 2026 yet, but I do try and go often. I might go I was maybe going to go for the Aston Villa game. So anyone who's there for the Aston Villa game, I will be there, and obviously happy to speak to anyone in person, of course. And if I could start, Adam, that's a good question. Because I'm one recent ex-Toon player, who and why? Ex-Toon player, recent. Who's gone on to do really well since they left Newcastle? Matt Sells is pretty good, isn't he? To be fair, we need a goalkeeper. Matt Sells, considering when he was at Newcastle, might be the worst goalkeeper I think I've ever seen. He's pretty good. He is pretty good. Forest last season, best goalkeeper in the Premier League. So I'll go for Matt Sells because look, there are some issues in this squad. There are some issues in this squad that need sorting. Elliot Anderson, of course, is an amazing shout, and I just totally missed that one. I'll change that, Elliot Anderson. Yeah, fair, Elliot Anderson. Yeah, I was thinking there's a really obvious one. And I haven't got it. It was Elliot Anderson. Okay, sound right. Well, I missed that. It is what it is. So Sells or Anderson for that one. Mint is a good shout as well. I've missed all the obvious ones here. I don't know how I've missed these, but whatever. In terms of the summer and what have you, and everything coming up, like Marino, that's a good shout as well. Wow, I've picked one of the worst ones here. Apologies. Ivan Toney, yeah. I've missed another one. No worries. Yeah, fair enough. So in terms of the squad building, though, that's a good one. I like this one, Lee. I'll answer that one in a minute. So in terms of the squad building, I did choose Matt Sells. Yeah, I did. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. You're allowed to mock me for that one. I did not. That is not a good one. I've not done well there. That is not good. I will take my... And then that was a great one from Lee, I saw. That was really good. What was this? Oh, if we added a prime Kabai, Ben Arthur, Demba Ba to the squad, and Pape Cisse as well. Let's not forget Pape Cisse, 2011-12, second half of the season. Do we think we're challenged for the league? Yes, definitely, because that is one of my favourite ever Newcastle teams. You know, considering we were so bad, Mike Ashley era, and then we just somehow rock up with this team of Cech Tione, Fabrizio Colaccini, Johan Cabai, Hatem Ben Arthur, Demba Ba, Pape Cisse, Jonas Gutierrez, David Santon. Oh, what a team. What a team. Love that team so much. On par with, you know, in terms of the Ashley era, that's the team you love the most. Of course, this team is the one that I actually love the most. Darwin Núñez is an interesting shout. Newcastle have been linked with him before. Is he one thing at Liverpool, did he ever score enough goals? No. But then again, would anyone say that they scored? Would we say Waldemar has scored enough goals? Many people would, as we've seen in the chat, that many people would say no as well. I think one point that was made a lot earlier on, though, and again, I am 100% not Eddie Howe out at all. Not Eddie Howe out at all, because I think this is a guy who has not finished lower than 7th in a full season with Newcastle. He has delivered our first domestic trophy in 70 years. He has elevated this squad to way beyond maybe the levels that we thought they were capable of. But if they don't spend in January and they don't back him, it does feel as if they are thinking about what's next rather than maybe now. And I think I don't agree with that, because I think that's what Manchester United have done with Ruben Amorim. I think you've got to go all in on your manager. If you think they're the right man, you've got to go all in and back them. I think that we've made some mistakes in the summer. I think Ross Wilson coming in will massively will massively change everything. Sorry. Tony's got a good question as well, which I will answer in a minute. But I will actually bring it up on the screen, so it's just there. But I think that Ross Wilson has already said he doesn't want to go all after Premier League players. So I think we're going to see a total change in transfer strategy, and I think that's going to be better for us. Tony, are you happy with Tonali's goal assist contribution? Apart from a lot of running, I'm not sure what he does. Sometimes I'm waiting for him to go for every ball, leaves us exposed. So Tonali last season scored quite a few goals. This season, not really been in the position to score many goals. I think with Tonali, he is a number 6, so you're not necessarily looking for goals or assists. It would be nice if he could chip in now and then. If you could chip in now and then, I think that would be nice. But Tonali is a player who covers every blade of grass when he's fully fit. He is unbelievable at reading the play off the ball. His passing is usually crisp and accurate. And he has a very good set-piece delivery as well. So I appreciate, but Howe's already said this. He said that he doesn't think he's been at the level that. Yeah, I don't think he's at the level that he was at last season, which is a shame. But you've got to back him. This is a guy who is a top midfield player, and he will get back to those levels. I'm absolutely convinced about it as well. That's a question one from Adam. I'm seeing here as well about Joe Linton needing to score more. He has actually had a few goals this season. I think it's 5 in all comps from Joe Linton. 2 in the Premier League, 2 in the Carabao Cup, 1 in the Champions League. I'm seeing some things about a Lalanga swap deal for Elliot Anderson. I'm not sure they're going to go for that, but you never know. That would be great. And that's an interesting one from Scott Edwards, saying Wout Stay's going to start being a bit more nasty, be nice when he gets it so far. I think Eddie is just very careful with how he speaks in the press. And I think he doesn't like throwing any of his players under the bus. He always wants to defend his players. He clearly has great affection for his players, which I think is brilliant, to be fair. So I don't think it's that. I think behind the scenes, he is hard, and he does demand a lot, as we hear a lot of the time. But that's just my view on that one. I saw another one about the training ground. As far as I'm aware, yes, the training ground is definitely going to happen. That's from Craig Hope, which, again, extremely reliable Newcastle reporter. That is definitely going to happen. £100 and £200 million So that's where we are with that one for the training ground. And I think that's a sign that, look, that is a sign that this is PF are still massively invested. They wouldn't put this money in if they didn't. So I would go for that one on that. I'm seeing a few things in to suggest that Tonali's going to leave. Oh, right, there you go, Cuff. Training ground is definitely happening. My firm tendered for part of the work last year, hoping we can win it. Well, there you go. That's brilliant to hear. So, yeah, it is definitely happening. And I think it's a great location it's happening in as well. So, that's a really interesting one. Thank you for that information, by the way, as well. Yeah, I mean, I think with the set pieces, by the way, I think set pieces at the start of the season were really poor. I want to try and end on a little bit of a positive. I think the start of the season set piece was really poor. I think the last few weeks, I think the set piece has been very good. We're almost kind of doing the Arsenal style of set piece, whereby you have everyone at the back post, and then they all run into the middle of the box, and we just whip it onto the top of the goalkeeper. And I think it's causing all sorts of problems in basically every game. We're a bit unlucky last night not to score from one, whereby I think Botman headed it and it hit someone and then deflected behind for a corner. There was the one against Bournemouth where, again, really deep to the back post, Botman, bosh, off the crossbar. So the set piece are getting better, definitely. You can see the set piece coach's work starting to now tell, in my opinion. And we should be scoring a lot more from set pieces. We have a massive team. So I think that is important. This is in question one from getting Hall in midfield. Again, Lewis Hall is a magnificent, wonderful footballer. You know, he's so good. Like, I enjoy watching him so much. I think he's magnificent. I really do. I think he's absolutely magnificent. And his set piece delivery is world class. So I'm getting more stick from Matt Sells in the comments, which is fair enough. You know, you did ask me one ex NUFC player would sign. I did say Matt Sells, and there's Elliot Anderson, Yankee, Minter, and Ivan Toney out there. So yeah, that is absolutely fair. I will take it on the chin. I had a brain fade there. I'll take it. But yeah, Lewis Hall, just a wonderful footballer. I thought he was unbelievable last night. The way he can get past challenges, 10, like 2, 3 men, wins free kicks. He pocketed Antoine Semenyo. I know Semenyo scored, but he pocketed Antoine Semenyo. Semenyo's goal was not Lewis's fault. So he's brilliant. I mean, he's England's left back. You can forget Miles Lewis-Skelly. Honestly, yeah, no. Anyone who tells me Miles Lewis-Skelly's better than Lewis Hall doesn't have a clue what they're talking about. Lewis Hall is England's left back. And we need him to stay for years and years. Tino Livramento on the other side, bit worried about him. Feel like we are coming towards the last few months of Tino's time as a Newcastle player. My colleague, again, at talkSPORT, Alex Crook, reporting that Tino has shown no signs of willingness even to sign a new deal with Manchester City and Arsenal looking at him. So that's a concern. Equally, I know people criticise Tino for his lack of attacking play. And I get that. But I think in terms of one-on-one defender, what he brings you in possession, out of possession, I think it would be a huge blow to lose Tino Livramento. But we've got to accept that there are going to be players who move on. I do feel like in the summer it could be the biggest squad overhaul. I think it could be the biggest squad overhaul we've seen in a while. I think we could see quite a few players leave and quite a few new ones come in. That's just my opinion. I don't know that, but I feel like that is what we'll see. And Lewis Smiley, wow, just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. He play anywhere. And that is the sign of good players. Good players play by Brentford's Coyote. Yeah, Coyote, that is a great shout. That's from Adam. I'm just saying that there. That is a great. I'll get that on screen because that is a great shout. Coyote. Yeah, look, I think we could see Coyote as a Newcastle player. I think Newcastle will be definitely looking at him, and it will be this summer will be our chance to get him because if you leave it for another season, then other teams will be interested. There might even still be other teams interested now, but I will go for that one. I think for Tino maybe to leave, and then but the players we need to keep hold of are Lewis Miley. We need to keep hold of Lewis Hall. We need to keep hold of Bruno Guimaraes. There's decisions to be made on Anthony Gordon. I would sell Gordon over Harvey Barnes. I think Barnes will probably be the one who might ask for the move, maybe because of his frustration over not being put in the right position or getting the game time. But equally, I don't think we should be getting rid of Barnes. I'd be selling Gordon. I think there's questions over if this is Joe Linton's last season as well, although he has improved in the last few weeks as well. That's the thing. One thing I will say is I think that a lot of individual performances have improved in recent weeks, and that has contributed to some big wins. It was just a shame against Manchester City that we couldn't take our chances, and that is disappointing at the end of the day. So gonna go for another about 5 minutes or so, but just a reminder again that if you are on X or whatever, or Twitter, I mean, just call it Twitter. It's Twitter, isn't it? So if you're on Twitter, that's my handle there at JackCun96. If you wouldn't mind giving me a follow, that'd be really appreciated. And equally, check out talkSPORT's Newcastle show Inside the Toon as well. Again, not really appearing on everyone's algorithm at the moment because it's a new show. We're just trying to get it going. But it's going to be weekly from now on, which is brilliant, thanks to a big sponsorship deal with BetMGM, which we're really excited about. So if you can just type in Inside the Toon, and you'll be able to find that on YouTube, and that'd be great. And we just filmed an episode this morning, me and Ollie Klink reflecting on the Newcastle game last night, and then we've got another one on Friday with the brilliant Adam Cleary, who's got 180,000 subscribers on YouTube, and he is a Toon fan and he loves his tactics. So if you could please do that, that would be really appreciated. So as I say, going to wind down sort of now, but I really appreciate everyone who's tuned in. I'm going to be back tomorrow as well. Going to be, as I said, the plan for this is I think 2 times a week, and then also going to have a separate journal insight video, which is like a pre-recorded thing. That's be once a week, and that'll be me running through the latest news with any sort of information I have or I've picked up on. I'll give you my opinion on it as well. But that's how it's going to be. So I hope you all can join me for the one sort of tomorrow, as I said, 1 p.m. So 1 p.m. I'll be on tomorrow, and then as I said, and then there's a few people. Sorry, Kenny and Cuff. I think you all said you were both in. You were both in London, so I hope to catch you all at the Dolphin. Please just come up to me if I'm there. You know, and please just come up to me if I'm there. I am not. I will happily talk to anyone about Newcastle. I am not. I'm really not full of myself again. I'm not full of myself at all. I'm not. I really don't. I just love. I just love talking about football with Newcastle fans, and I'm happy to have any opinions, agreements, disagreements. But please, if I'm there, if you see me, whatever, please come up to me. You know, I will speak to you. I'll probably bore you to death, actually. So, yeah. And then just finally, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribed and hit the like button. Comment below if you're watching back as well. And join NTTV Plus for £4.99 to access all member content and support the channel. Thank you to the super chats we got as well. And as I say, we'll be back tomorrow at 1 p.m, where I think we'll just have a look ahead to Wolves. And hopefully there's some transfer news to talk about as well. So thank you very much. I see that Cuff says he goes to the Dolphins, so I will hopefully see you there. As I said, please just come up to me. But yes, brilliant. Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your days. Let's hope for a better weekend coming up. Thank you very much.